Hey folks, Quill18 here, and welcome to another episode of our tutorial for Crusader Kings 2 for complete beginners. We are currently dabbling around here on the lovely island of Ayr, and we are King Fred. And at the end of the last episode, I said we would look at constructions and improvements of our holdings as well as the military. So that's what we're going to look at over here. We did leave off talking about the technology a little bit and how they unlock new buildings. Let's see where that comes into play. So if we look at our county of Desmond over here, and we click on this, our little pop-up window, and this shows all the holdings within Desmond. Now, each county on the map will have a capital holding, which is showing up over here. And in addition to that, we'll have somewhere between, I don't think any of them have 0. Actually, I don't even know if any of them have only one other. Maybe one other, and potentially up to 6 more. I don't know if I've ever seen a 7 holding province. Take a look at Constantinople, because I bet it has lots of stuff. There you go! A 7 holding province over here. Ooh, and they have the Hagia Sophia as well. Very impressive. But yeah, tons of different holdings. So, zoom. All right, over here. So we have our tribal holding over here. If we were sort of a more enlightened feudal lord, let's take a look at Paris, we would have an actual proper castle. There you go. See, this has got the full 7 holdings as well. Very, very rich county. It's got a castle over here. Very fancy schmancy. We're just some tribal people over here. And then we've also got our church, the bishopric of Cologne, over here as well. And we have room for 2 more holdings as well. They're not developed yet. More holdings in a county means more tax dollars, means more recruitable troops. It is good. So we would love to build a new holding over here, although it's very expensive, because building a temple takes 573 ducats. And takes 2 years to build. It's a pretty significant investment. Now, as a tribal, though, we do have a cool thing where we can build more little tribes, little tribal villages, using only prestige as opposed to money, which is very fancy. So the tribal holdings aren't as impressive as castles, but they are pretty cheap to do. Then, in addition to that, once one is built, so I can't build it yet because I don't have quite enough prestige. I have 40, but we could wait, you know. We're actually getting prestige fairly quickly. Just wait a few months and we'd be able to do this. But in addition to creating a new holding, we can improve a holding. So if I take a look at our current Desmond tribe over here, I can improve a holding. Now, some things cost money, and in fact, for most holdings, money is the only thing you can do. If I click on our bishopric over here, everything here costs money. Some things take a long time. Some things require technology. So the church here is locked. That gear icon, that's the technology icon. We don't have the technology to upgrade the church to a level 2 church. Some things have prerequisites. If we look at the militia quarters over here, it's lacking a building. It needs church walls. Level 2 church walls have to be built for us to build a militia quarter. So church walls over here, we don't have the technology for it. The only thing we could technically build right now is a temple shipyard. The only thing we're lacking is gold. We need 145 gold, but we could build a temple shipyard over here, which will give us more galleys out of this. Everything else is lacking a building, but most of those buildings are then locked behind a technology. But yeah, it is interesting that with the tribe, we can improve the tribal holdings with just prestige. So it is a really cool thing to be playing this low-tech tribe as opposed to playing a fancy schmancy proper feudal monarchy, because we have an alternate way of improving our terrain. So we can't afford any of this right now because we don't have enough money or prestige for any of these. But if we accumulate some, we'll be able to do it. And these things give you different values. So a hill fort gives you more of a levy size. So levy is how many troops you can raise. In the era of Crusader Kings 2, you didn't really generally have standing armies. Insert an asterisk here for retinues, which are a part of one of the expansions, which is sort of permanent army kicking around. But generally speaking, these people weren't full-time soldiers. They were mostly, you know, farmers and things like that. But when a war happened, they would get, oh, you got to come to the castle, pick up your spear and, you know, your leather chest piece or whatever, and then go. You're going to be marching out here. Follow that guy with the flag. He'll tell you where to go and die for the country, kind of thing. So building an Earth Hill Fort will give us a 5% boost to our levy size. Here's our current troops. So we got 594 light infantry, 148 archers, and 170 heavy infantry. So if we built the hill fort, these numbers would go up slightly. Our fort level would also improve. The fort level of a county is how long and how difficult it is to siege down. So to be able to take over territory, troops have got to sit in a province for a while and siege the province. And so the hill fort will make it harder for people to do that. There's also a reference here to retinue size, but retinues are not available without expansion, so you can ignore that number. Market village, this often ends up building these as early as possible because it increases the tax income. The money that we get over here would be increased. And here's the nice thing, this little fly out window over here, which again, I often keep locked, shows you your taxes. I only have one province in my domain, which is Desmond over here, specifically the Desmond tribe part of it. So I'm getting 3.2 taxes per month from this province over here. So if I built the market village, then I would get more tax income. So it's nice to invest in something like this really early on. Look at training grounds, that boosts our levy size, also the garrison size. Garrison protects your fort from being sieged. Then you've got things like the war camp, which just gives you flat out, say 40 extra infantry. Practice range will give you just flat out more archers. The weaponsmith improves the morale of your armies. And then you've got some other things over here. The Gallo Glass Training Ground. This is actually unique. You have to be Irish to build this. But it gives us 35 extra heavy infantry, which is pretty awesome, and improves their defense, which is really good. And some of these, whenever we upgrade this finally from a tribe to a castle, some of these stick with us. So this will indeed be the case over here. They will go ahead and transfer over. So those are ways you can improve your holdings. And that's often something you want to do. If you're not currently warring, if you're not expanding your territory by going wide, you may want to expand your holdings by going tall, by building up and improving what you've already got. So sink some money into there. And prestige if you can as a tribe. Very, very, very potent thing to do. Very powerful, very important. So that's great. And when you can, hey, start some new holdings. It'll be fantastic. So that's the construction screen. Next, I said we were going to talk about the military. So we're not currently at war. We don't have to fight anyone, but that doesn't mean we can't do military things. So that's the button over here with the sword and the helm. Notice the retinue tab is grayed out because this is required in an expansion. And what I should have is Secret 2 expansions, because I want to say Art of War, except I know that's not correct. It's not the Art of War expansion that adds retinues. It is Legacy of Rome. Legacy of Rome expansion adds retinues, which are permanent sort of standing armies. And it's really good. It's a pretty cheap expansion. It adds a lot of like flavor and stuff to the Byzantine Empire. If you want to play as the Byzantine Empire, Legacy of Rome is like amazing for that. But even if you don't play as the Byzantine Empire, picking up Legacy of Rome so that you have access to retinues is pretty cool. Do note that, you know, your opponents won't have retinues either, but it's fun to have like permanent standing armies. It feels good, and they're really useful. So that tab is out. The other two tabs are your army levies and your fleet levies. So these numbers over here, this is how many troops you can raise up. Currently, we have 0 troops raised. The maximum total that we can possibly ever get currently, with our current buildings and holdings, is 912. We're at 874. If we hit the button right now, we'd get it to 874. These numbers replenish over time. If some dudes get killed at war, then the number here will be lower, and will slowly accumulate back to the max. If I hit this button, I will raise our levies. I will do that. And this is our personal levies. This is levies from all counties we directly control, which in this case is just Desmond. If I hit this, boom, I have an army. There you go. 874 men ready to fight right over here. It's going to cost me 100, or sorry, not 100, 1.75 gold per month to maintain this army. If I drop it, there you go, back down to 0. That's fine. They all go home. If you lower your levies in foreign territory, not everyone comes home. So, you know, your unraised number will be lower than what it was before, and over time, again, this will accrue. So in addition to our personal troops, we can also get troops from our vassals. Our vassals, the people who bend the knee, have to give us a certain number of troops. This is based on a variety of factors, government, laws, obligations, depending on things, you know, how much they like us, all that kind of stuff will affect how many troops they're willing to give us. So we can go and raise the vassal levies over here. And there we go. So we got 79. We're not getting any from our chiefs over here. I think there are circumstances which will enable them to give us some troops over here. But for now, I think we have to be at war, and then we can raise our tribal levies. I think. It's been a little while since I played as a tribe, so I might be lying to you over there. But that, I believe that's what's happening. If we were in actual war, then we'd be able to call the other tribes, these chiefs, to like participate in the war over here. But for now, it's only our direct, sort of our non-tribal vassal, which are the troops belong to the bishopric. So, you know, the church over here, they have some personal troops to defend it, so we're going to grab some of them. It's not much, 79, but it's something. Of course, there's no reason I couldn't raise both. And then I have all those troops active. Yeah, here's my vassals over here. I can see their info. Yeah, I can see 0 of 0, 0 of 0, so they're not currently willing to participate. But the bishop is 0 of 79 because we have them raised over here. Worth noting that we are paying for our own troops. We do not pay for the vassal troops. The vassals pay for the vassal troops, and they get cranky if we have those troops up for too long. We'll get notified that, hey, people are starting to get a little bit salty. You know, you might not want to keep them up forever. So there's our troops over there. We currently have 2 armies kicking around. You can see, I can't zoom in any more than this, but we have 953 people here. There's 2 little ticks because there's 2 separate armies. If I click over here, it's going to select one army. Army of the King, which is interesting. We are actually running one of these armies. Is the first one that raised up. So technically we're guiding the troops, the 79 troops over here, because it was the first one we raised. If we click again, it'll select the other army of Chief Senatig over here. And that's just telling you, it's just the army of whoever happens to be leading this army. If I go and click and drag a box here, it'll select both these armies. I can merge these armies together by hitting this button over here. Merge the selected units. Boom. Now we have a single army of 953. And generally speaking, that's what you want to do. And then they're all sitting there together. We've got the total count of troops over here. Light infantry, heavy infantry, and our archers. We don't have any pikemen, we don't have any cavalry whatsoever, mostly lacking the sort of technology and the resources to make that going. I can open up this little side panel, reorganize unit, and we can see where all these the troops are. So we have the primary, we have the Desmond tribe troops over here. This is where we have lots of them. This is most of our troops. And we have the tiny little liege levy over here. This is not the greatest organization. See the numbers? We have 79 people in the middle of our army and nearly 900 on one flank. This is not a balanced and organized army. Generally speaking, you want the middle of your army to have like the significant like bulk and then less on the sides. Or ideally, you could have them balanced across all 3. But in any case, this is really bad. Now we can move these around. I can go and say I do something like that, and I can move you over there, or I can put you both in the middle, or I'm going to put you back here. There's also an auto balance unit. If you hit this, the game will try to balance around. I'm not sure it knows what to do in this particular situation. I'm going to put the big number of troops in the middle, and then I'll put some troops on the flank. Each one of these flanks, the middle and the left and the right, so 3 flanks. I don't know, the middle's not really a flank, but just for the sake of argument, the 3 flanks, each one of these can be led by a commander. Actually, the troops themselves sort of get led by a commander. You can change who commands a particular flank here. So, and this gets sorted by marshal. So ourselves, we have 15 marshal. We're going to lead the middle, and Senatig has our second best marshal at an 8. So he's going to lead over there. There we go. So there's our army, ready to go. Now, what can we do with this army? Well, we, with it selected, like we do now, we can right-click and tell it to move somewhere. So if I were to unpause, this army would slowly walk over. You can see the bar filling up. Would slowly walk over here. If an army is in a province with enemy troops, they will automatically fight. So if there's bad guys over here and we moved into this province when we arrived, we would start a fight. Swords clang, 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 until one army is defeated. Now, defeating an army does not mean killing everyone. Armies have a morale bar. That's what this green bar over here is. Armies retreat when their morale goes to 0. So some guys will die in battle, sure, but mostly what will happen is the army will fight until the morale is broken, and then they're going to run away. Now, generally speaking, the biggest army wins. There are a few modifiers, like your commander skill, there could be traits, there could be terrain. For example, if you're attacking into someone who's in the mountains, that's going to be bad for you because mountains are pretty good defensive territory. If you have to cross a river, that's going to be bad for you because crossing a river makes it hard to then attack. So generally speaking, the defensive army will get bonuses based on terrain, and the attacking army won't get bonuses and might even get penalties. So that is one factor. Also, there are different troop qualities and different modifiers you can have going on. But generally speaking, bigger number beats smaller number, unless there's something particularly weird going on. So yeah, you move on to an army. The weaker army gets defeated and will then break from lack of morale and will run away. Depending on what game rules you have set up, it might just run to one province, but the default of Shattered Retreat, it'll try to run a few provinces away. And it'll do that quite quickly because it's in a disorganized way. They're organizing in ranks. They're just running, and they're not engaging anything. They're spread out, and then they'll end up in some province where they'll reorganize themselves and slowly start to gain morale. Notice that the morale of our direct troops, right? 874 raised directly from our county starts at 100, but the morale of our vassal troops actually start at 0. Wow, I don't know if it's literally 0, but I think so, and then have to rebuild over time. That's what happens when you lose a battle as well. Your morale goes to 0, you run away, but then week by week, you regain some of that morale and you're ready to fight. Generally speaking, you only want to fight when your morale is capped out. You can see this green bar over here. This is the morale of the army as a whole. Same thing as this bar over here. This is the average morale overall. It looks pretty full because most of our troops, the 874, are 100%. These 79 are pretty weak. But yeah, so generally speaking, don't attack unless you've got full morale. And do keep in mind that some of the terrain can be bad. If you mouse over something, it does tell you the terrain. So this is plains over here, so that's perfectly fine. Flat, normal terrain. You know, the winter and the climate and the weather might have some impact on things, and if you have to cross a river, which we would over here, cross a river to attack over there, we could get a penalty in battle. If we want to dismiss these troops, we can just hit this button over here to disband, or again, we can do it from the military screen by hitting the down button here and the down button over here. Our troops will all go home. And then we don't have to pay maintenance anymore. Neither does our bishop over here. He's cool. He's happy. The fleet levies over here, these are the same thing. We actually don't have any right now because we need the technology and the buildings to be able to start building ships. There is no ship combat in Crusader Kings 2. Ships are simply transport units. If we wanted to go from Mumu over to Brittany over here, we could put our troops onto boats and ship them across the sea that way. And that's basically it. Ships are very expensive to maintain. If you're not using them to ship people around, you probably want to go ahead and drop them. Do note there are straight crossings over here, this dashed line. This means this land over here is close enough to each other that you don't need to actually have a fleet. You can assume we have like little fishing boats or something like that. Obviously, the people aren't just going to swim across or walk on water or anything like that. But you don't need to have a proper navy, a proper fleet to cross where you see these dashed lines. So, you know, England and Ireland, you can think of them as sort of connected in the same land for the purpose of warfare. But you can see there's no way across the English Channel unless you do have some boats. And we literally can't make boats right now. So there would be no way for us to wage war over there. Again, that's a bit of a technology thing as well as a building thing. The bishopric over here could build the temple shipyard, and which would give us access to 6 galleys, for example. Mercenaries. So over here, there's a mercenaries tab. If you've got money, you can hire mercenaries. Now, they are expensive to hire up front, so they can be small. If we sort by lowest cost, there we go. 150 gold gets you the Sardinian band. 1,500 troops. Massive numbers of people. But you have to be very, very wary. It's not just the upfront cost, it's the monthly cost. So 150 bucks to hire up front, and then 12 bucks a month to keep them around. We don't even make $1 a month right now. Although I think this number might still be including the troops, so it might change when the month cycle's over. Let it just go to February 1st. No, apparently I'm wrong. Never mind. So yeah, we really don't make a lot of money. If you have mercenaries, and then you can't afford to pay them, they will turn against you. Do not let that happen. It's really, really, really bad. So if you're going to hire mercenaries, you really want to have a huge stockpile of money. Like, figure it out. So to keep these guys hired for a year, right? 12 times 12 is 144. So for a year's worth of these guys, you want the 150 plus about another 150, so 300 for a year. And a year's not that much. A year might not see you to the end of the war. So to hire these guys, you'd probably want to have at least like maybe 500 ducats in the bank before you considered hitting that hire button. Be very, very cautious with the mercenaries. They do kick ass. Oh my god, it's so, like, because there's so many troops compared to what you've got, but oof, what an investment. Okay, technology, military, what's next? Intrigue. Oh yeah, here's the good stuff. Okay. Under Intrigue, there's two sections of the Intrigue screen. The first thing is not very intriguing at all. It's decisions. These are things that you can choose to do at various times. So you can see some of them are grayed out because we can't do them right now. To hold a feast, we need 25 gold. Oh, we do have enough money. Oh, it's the wrong season. You hold a feast in November. November or December, you can have a feast. And you have to have at least 100 prestige as well to do it. So this is not currently available for us. But we could invite a noble to our court. So it costs us 2.8 gold, and it will create a new character that instantly appears in our court. We don't have to like go through and invite him. He just gets created out of thin air with some amount of stats. A noble will be a dude person. A debutante will be a lady person. Holy Man will be a dude person with high learning skill, for example, and there may be a few other buttons like that. Commander will be a dude person with high military skill, for example, a little bit of this. Adopt feudalism is a decision that would change our government from tribal to feudal. Being a feudal government has massive advantages because we just have fancy schmancy castles and crowns, and it enables so many more things in terms of laws and inheritance and stuff like that that we don't have access to as a tribal nation. On the other hand, we will lose the ability to upgrade things with prestige. When we're feudal, it's all going to be about that gold, but we will have much more control over our chieftains and various things like that. We can't do feudal right now because we need things. We need the absolute tribal organization law, and our capital holding needs to have, a stone hill fort or something like that. Or we could have a castle, but we can't build a castle. So we'd have to, steal a castle from someone else. So there's various requirements, but we could do this. There's also the ability to raise our tribal army. There we go, 500 prestige gives us a 2,500 men regiment. Boom, suddenly appears a tribal army. It's cool tribal stuff you can do. You can be automatically notified when something comes up. Let's say we want to hold a feast, right? We've got the gold, but it's not the right season. Feasts have to be in November or December. But what if we forget? Because, it could easily happen. We didn't do one last year because I didn't do it. This little button over here, this marks the decision as important. What will happen when this is marked on? First of all, it'll show up at the top of the list. There you go. If I close the window and reopen it, hold the feast is now at the top of the list. In addition to that, we'll actually get a pop-up when this becomes possible to do. So for example, if I put invite a noble to court on, we now have a pop-up letting us know an important decision is currently available to be taken. Invite a noble to court. I don't actually want that on, but it's really great if you don't want to forget certain things. So we'll go ahead and turn on for the hold a feast because I don't want to forget. Oh, summer fair, that sounds like fun too. A grand hunt, yeah, let's do some of those. Buy indulgence for sins. At some point, some dude called Martin Luther will kind of get a little bit salty of that. But until the Protestant Reformation happens, we can spend money to make ourselves be more holy. Basically, we give the Pope some gold, and he gives us some extra piety. But yeah, we can go ahead and turn those buttons on. So that's the intrigue for decisions. Then there's plots. Plots is where you scheme using your intrigue skill to do various things. Now, you can hit this button, click to choose a plot, and then you will get a list of things that are eligible. For example, all these people that you can kill. Just all the people in your court, you can decide, this guy, I don't like his face, I'm going to plot to kill this guy. So I have a plot power of 61%. This is based on my personal intrigue skill, or I suppose maybe my state intrigue skill. We could also invite people. Maybe someone else hates this guy's face. No. If we bribed him, if we gave him money, Chad would be willing to join in, and he's got 32% plot power. So that brings us to 93%. Okay. My daughter, Lurban, she could also be bribed to convince to join in. There we go. So that would give it another 30%. We'd be over 100%. My Kuken, he's got 57. He's got that 19 intrigue. If we bribed him, just by himself, we'd be over 100%. Pretty nice. My bishop, my priest here, he's willing to jump in right away. He's like, yeah, man, let's go murder someone. Sounds great. So if I right click him to select him, if I click, it'll just open up his window. If I right click, it'll add him. There we go. Invite the plot, send, and he'll say yes, and then he'll show up in this list over here. I can also check this box over here. It'll automatically invite anyone who's willing to go right away. It won't bribe anyone, but anyone who's got the green thumbs up, if I hit this, it'll automatically invite them. Yeah, there you go. There's the bishop over there. Let's not kill Murgren. Let's cancel. Although we should talk about the plot power. The percentage power here is it's not the chance to succeeding because there's so many modifiers, but the higher the plot power, the more likely it is to be attempted and be successful. So a low plot power, you might not get around to trying the assassination, or you'll try and you'll fail. A high plot power, including well above 100%. Hell, sometimes you want 200 or 300% to listen, this guy's going to die tonight. Increase the chance of success. So, but you can assassinate someone with a fairly low percentage sometimes. It can happen. We're going to cancel this. We're not going to kill Mugren. Other plots available, though, are the ability to revoke things. I only have a single chieftain, right? This one piece of land. I could plot, similarly to what's going on over here, I can plot and say, listen, the land of Irma over here, I want this title to belong to me, specifically. I don't want it to belong to this random chieftain. So I'm going to plot to revoke this title. I'm starting at 92%. Hey, that's pretty good. I can't invite anyone. Note the list of people you can invite depends a little bit on what the plot is. So here I can only invite my vassals to come in. None of them are willing to do it. So just by myself, I'm 92% plot power. Note, so with the assassination, you just sort of set up the plot and then wait, and eventually the assassination attempt happens. With the revoking of something, it's a little different. It actually creates a decision over here. So we need at least 100% plot power. No, we need at least 80% plot power, but we need at least one other person willing to join in. And then we can hit this button and we send him a letter. We say, listen, you got to give up your title or else we go to war. And sometimes they say yes, and sometimes they say, no, it's war. But we could do that. The other way you can assassinate people, specifically only assassinate, is find a person. Let's say Sam Thane over here. Sam Thane, I decide I don't like her face. I can try to assassinate her. Choose plot. See Queen Sam Thane of Mumu dead. This is my wife. Of course it is. Yeah, so I could try to assassinate my wife by plotting this way. So I will do that. And what will happen is it's just going to load it in here. It's exactly the same as if I clicked here, looked for the queen, and then picked her. Yeah, right there. Oh, she's got a different icon because it's my spouse. But yeah, let's not kill my wife. But there you go. Assassinations. There's a few other things. More plots will reveal themselves with various things. There'll be more uses for intrigue, depending on the game, depending on your circumstances, depending on expansions, yada, yada, yada. And it's pretty awesome. So again, let's say, like, my heir here is marrying Princess Hedwig of Germany. She's going to have a weak claim on the Kingdom of Germany. If I click on the shield, here's the Kingdom of Germany. Here's the line of succession. What if I start trying to assassinate other people in the line of succession over here in Germany? Now, because this is a far-off land, my ability to assassinate people this far away is going to be a lot harder. And, you know, I might not have very many friends over there. Or more importantly, although sometimes it's not about how many friends I've got, sometimes it's about how many enemies my target has. But I might be able to ingratiate myself more in some people in Germany, have more influence over there, and be able to set up more assassinations. Could be. All right, that's intrigue. Factions. So factions over here. These are factions that are brewing in your kingdom that are looking to do stuff. Generally speaking, there are two faction types come to mind. One faction type that comes up might want to change the laws in your kingdom. Like, one of my vassals might start a faction up to lower the tribal organization back to minimum. And what's going to happen is they're going to try to rally support, get more people to join in, and it's going to show me a percentage strength of how many troops they have compared to how many troops I have. And if they start to feel like they have a lot of troops on their side as opposed to me, they'll generally send me a letter and say, hey, you have to change the law to back to minimum or whatever, or we're going to start a war, a civil war. So I can say, yes, fine, I'll change the law, or I can say, no, screw you, now we fight. You'll also see factions come up to potentially put someone else on the throne. For example, this might happen when I die, when King Fred dies, and I start playing as King Ken over here. Some people might prefer, instead of having me as king, they might want to have my brother Chad be the king. So they might start a faction supporting Chad to be the king. And then again, it'll be the same thing. They'll send me a letter and say, step down, or we're at war. So I could say I'll step down, in which case I would start playing as my brother, or I would go to war. Now, in this case, it wouldn't be so bad. If I step down and my brother takes charge, that should be okay because it's still my dynasty. It'll depend on various things whether or not that's a game over state or not. You'll be able to see at the time. But it's not the end of the world. It's like, okay, it's my brother. But if they wanted to put someone not of my dynasty on the throne, I might be like, whoa, 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 I guess we're going to have to fight. But you can make decisions. Anyway, that's factions. If you are not a king, if you're not the ruler in a realm, you can generally start your own factions as well. So you could be the person that says, you know what, I don't think this guy should be king, I think this other guy should be king. So you can start doing that kind of jazz. Religion! Hey! Religion's a very important part of the game over here. Mostly, because people who aren't of your religion, you hate them and they hate you, and everything sucks all the time. Depending on your religion, there can be lots of different things going on here. We are Catholic. There are a few little Catholic buttons we can hit. For example, we can request a divorce if we decide we don't like our wife. We can ask the Pope to bless our divorce over here, and say that it's totally okay in the eyes of God. Most it'll depend on how much the Pope likes me, how much he doesn't like my spouse, and different things like that. So I have a bunch of godly traits. I have some ungodly traits. My wife has an ungodly trait. My wife is lustful, so that's ungodly. So that would be a bonus towards the divorce going through. So this is a way that you can leave your wife, is requesting a divorce. And then there might be other buttons over here, like requesting an excommunication or an invasion. Some of these require a variety of different scenarios. So here, if requesting an invasion, there has to be a legal target, a valid target for an invasion. It's not a crusade, but it's, I don't know, crusade light. There has to be a valid target, and I have to have enough piety to be able to call for an invasion over there. There's also like a bishop system and things like that. You might be able to claim, you might be able to decide who the next bishop is going to be, depending on your particular laws, because you always want to make sure there's a bishop who likes you that's going to be the bishop, so that the tax money goes to you instead of the Pope. And there could also be a whole other system for making anti-popes. Religion. It's funky. Yeah, Catholicism. Moral authority ties into things with Reformation. Anyway, we'll just go on. Societies. Secret societies, I do not believe are available in the base game. I believe it is... What is it? Is it Way of Life? No, it's Monks and Mystics, isn't it? Society? Yes, the Monks and Mystics expansion adds the ability for your people to join societies. You can become a monk of St. Benedict. You can join the Hermetic Order and play with potions and books of lore. You can maybe join the Church of Satan and have weird things going on over there. It's a very fun expansion. Societies are really, really quite a lot of fun to play with. I enjoy it quite a bit. Again, vanilla is awesome by itself, but what the expansions do is add more variation so that your next playthrough will be different from your first playthrough, because there's going to be different content, right? First playthrough vanilla, it's going to be great. After that, if you still like it, get some expansions, because it'll shake things up like crazy sauce. Anyway, those are all the buttons at the top of the screen. I mean, that's kind of the game at this point. You think you can pretty much transition to maybe Let's Plays over here, because I mean, other than waiting for some sort of war to break out. Oh, there we go. My Pope, or my bishop made friends with the Pope. The Pope likes me a little bit better. Hey, it might make it easier for me to get a divorce from my wife if I wanted to. Wait, I might. Here's the thing. My wife's too old to make babies anymore. My wife's awesome. I mean, genius, lustful, content, very, very useful. Great stats, really helpful that way. Maybe I want to remarry someone young enough to make more babies, because I'm a, giant jerk face. Well, I could, do something like that. Oh, we can hold a summer fair. See, I set this as an important decision. It is now sometime between May and August, so we can run a summer fair. It'll cost me 25 gold. While it's running, it'll give me prestige, plus we'll get some pop-ups. Let's do it as an example. I don't think, right now, we don't make enough money, I think, to be able to justify running summer fairs. But let's go ahead and hit the button. I've given the order the summer fair should be held in Desmond this summer. And we can take a look at our modifiers here. So, we've got our traits, our permanent traits. Well, permanent, these can change dramatically through various events. But then we have a modifier, we're holding a summer fair. So we have a bonus to our monthly prestige. Hey. So we get our first event from the summer fair. I had invited a monkey trainer to the summer fair, and the performance went well until one of the monkeys refused to ride on top of a pig. The trainer beat the monkey with a stick, oh man, which led to the other monkeys to attack the trainer, good, biting him and hitting him with their own stick. As they serves him right, so this chief, one of my chiefs, will like me more for the next 5 years because he'll approve of my honesty. Or I can say, here's your money, I don't ever want to see you here again. I could give him 5 gold to leave, which would give me 5 more prestige. Is there a right and wrong answer? Not always. Here, I'm going to go ahead, serves him right. We'll get this chief to like me a little bit more. It's good, because he's one of my vassals. It was this guy here, right? So if we look, approves of honesty plus 10. There we go, likes me slightly better. Lovely. So we'll unpause, we'll probably get some more summer fair events here. There we go. Local nobles of domain complain about too many peasants entering the city during the summer fair. We tell them to accept the peasant. My bishop would be angered by this. Minus 15. Or I can say restrict the peasants' access to the city. This will give me, for the next 2 years, right, until 939, which is in 2 years. It will give me increased revolt risk. The peasants are a little bit cranky. Say I do that. If I click on my province of Desmond, I can actually see the current revolt risk, which is 5%. So there's a chance that the peasants are going to rise up. And I think this percentage chance is the yearly chance. And I think it calculates basically once a month or so. So the odds are pretty low, but it's certainly there. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to my council. And my marshal over here, I'm going to get him to suppress revolts, which gives us a minus 12% chance to have revolts. So if I reassign him to do that over here, now my revolt risk should go down to 0. Burr. Suppress revolts minus 12. Why isn't it showing up here? Weird. Even if the church frowns upon jugglers and calls them gleemen, I enjoy their humorous and bawdy acts during summer fair. Three options this time. One can juggle 9 apples at the same time. I'd lose piety. The church doesn't approve of me in enjoying these jugglers, but I would gain prestige. Church does not like fun things. This would just cause the bishop to disapprove of me. If the church doesn't like it, should I really like it? It would cost me prestige, but give me piety, and the bishop would like it. I don't know. I'm going to hit this. Get some more prestige, because I can use the prestige to improve my territory. Peddlers are loading their wares, and the merchants are taking down their stalls. The jugglers, strolling players, and other entertainers are preparing to leave. The summer fair is over for this year. It's fun while it lasted. Holding a summer fair goes away, but I will gain 10 more prestige. There you go. Summer fair is okay. I really like doing the big feasts. Those are quite good, because that makes your vassals pretty happy, and you tend to get a lot of really interesting pop-ups when that happens as well. Is Great Works really built into the base game? I didn't realize that. That's amazing. These are very expensive, but we can build very impressive buildings in our territory. Oh, we got a new important decision. I can go on a grand hunt. It'll cost me another 25 gold, but we could go on a grand hunt. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn these off for now, because these are too expensive. I'm going to save my money. As much as I would love to go on a grand hunt, we're just going to save our money, because maybe we'll have to go to war, and we spend it on that or something instead. What I'm going to do, I wonder if I can... Console command. How do you die? So, the tilde key, which is to the left of the 1 key on your number pad, brings up the console. If you're an Iron Man, you can't really make any changes, but I was hoping... I don't know the command to... Oh, there we go. Kill _ yourself. Perfect. And let's look at what a succession looks like. Not today, QA. Bah. Oh. Well, I was hoping to show... I probably could do it with kill and then character ID. Well, I guess we're not going to kill ourselves today, unfortunately. But yeah, what'll happen is you'll die, you'll get a pop-up, and it'll tell you who you're playing as. In this case, we'd be playing as Kuken. It would also tell us what happens with the various parts of our realm. It'd give us a little dynasty score and whatnot. You can see playing on speed 5 is very fast. Ooh, a book without a title is pushed into my hands by a hooded man clad in midnight blue. Something was said, but was lost in the confusion. The book was still there. Hey, wait! Gain piety and start studying the book, or it wants me to read it. Gain me some prestige and piety. I don't know, it wants me to read it. So I've got Illumination running right now, which is going to be some monthly prestige and piety. Sounds good. One of my courtiers has been annoying my wife, and instead of asking me for help, she took the matter in her own hands, made sure the courtier would never annoy her again, or he would know the circumstances. So you get a lot of these kind of events, and you have to choose, between making one person happy and someone else unhappy, or, some prestige decisions. That is a lot of troops over there. 3,600 troops. Oh, that's this war over here. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty rough there, buddy. I think the pagans are going to be taking control of more territory over here. Ah, here's our first event that's going to allow us to potentially change some of our traits. If my opinion ruled, the world would be a more chaotic but fun place. If I keep following the laws, the world would have less chaos but also be less fun. If I say, let my rule begin. If I click this, I'll gain health, which will improve my ability to live longer. There's an internal, it's hidden, a health stat for your character, which modifies the chance of you dying from year to year, especially as you get older here. So this will give me more health and a 45% chance of gaining the arbitrary trait. Arbitrary Gives me a slight bonus to intrigue, but a penalty to stewardship and learning, and my vassals don't like me as much. Vassals, you know, the people beneath you don't like an arbitrary liege. Or I could say justice always prevails, which has a 45% chance to give me the just trait, which is a really good trait. +2 stewardship, +1 learning, +5 vassal opinion as well, and other just people like you. Let's hit that. It didn't happen. It would have shown up in the list over here, but we didn't get our 45% chance. Win some, you lose some. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up here. And I think this is, yeah, about all I wanted to do for the complete beginner's tutorial. Because after this, things start to get, like, way fuzzy. But, oh, there we go. The book, The Secrets Will Be Mine. Mwahaha, cough, cough. Went a little crazy. I've gotten the scholar trait. There you go. I'm now a scholar. It's a permanent trait. +3 learning. Oh, that's good. Oh, awesome. Look at that. I'm no longer a complete dummy. I have a learning of 4. In addition to that, other scholars like me more. So there you go. We get along. Oh, I should look at some more buttons over here. Here's our house. I guess it's a Moe's Craig. Here's our house. Total members 5, 4 of which are living. So our father died, and that's about it. We can expand this and see sort of our family tree over here. There's actually another button, which is the explicit family tree. This just shows you your closest relatives. Over here, because we just started from a save, it doesn't go like retroactively and generate all our parents. But if we were to keep playing this game for a while, you know, and we're playing as Ken and then Ken's son and then Ken's grandson, eventually you'd see a full tree over here, which is kind of nice. We also got the realm tree over here, which shows us our territory. This is the kingdom, well, the petty kingdom of Moo Moo. We expand this. We can see the 4 counties within here. So, you know, the sort of chiefdoms, and this is below me. So we've got our 3 chiefs and then the bishop, and under the chiefs there's some more dudes over here as well. So that's the whole tree of our realm. Other numbers that are nice, here's the total number of troops I can raise, 863. If I'm thinking of going to war, let's check my neighbor over here. So if I click on this province, we see this guy over here, the chief. Now this is just the chief of this province. You can see he bends the knee to another king, the actual king of Connaughta. So if I click on him, there we go, the king of this area, and he can raise 724 troops. Hey, I can raise more troops than he does. If I could go to war with him, which I can't because I don't have a casus belli, but if I could go to war with him, I would have more troops than he did. So I might be able to beat him. Also look how much money he's got, because if he's got a lot of money, he might be able to get mercenaries, not in this case. And we could always, you know, start murdering. There's no reason I couldn't try to plot to kill this guy if I wanted to. Anything else over here? Right, tribal, the religion, various specs, whether I'm allowed to lead armies or not allowed to lead armies. If your ruler leads an army, your troops get a morale boost because, you know, their actual king is there leading things. That's really good. On the other hand, it means you could die on the battlefield. So maybe you want this on, maybe you don't want this on. I don't know. So this is our current titles. So keep in mind, some people will have lots of titles, right? If we take a look at the King of France, so King Louis IV of France, he doesn't even have that many. He's got the king title. He's got 2 counties, the county of Brie and the county of Troyes. He's not even the king of Paris. And his heir is not even of his house. So he's a carling, but he's got no children. So if he were to die, this guy here, Count Friedrich of Luxembourg of the Uyghurish family, would inherit the kingdom of West Francia. Wow. Hey, dude, you got to get to making some babies. You're 19. Spouse is 27. Your spouse is ill. I don't know, man. It'll be really interesting to see what happens in France. Because, yeah, the carling, that would be the rip carlings. Not something you see every day. But yeah, so some people will have many titles. There you go. King Edmund of England over here, he has 3 county levels. So there's 3 counties he directly rules. Oxford, Wessex, and Middlesex. And he's also got the Duchy of Wessex. So the duchy encompasses counties. And really, remember, our kingdom title over here is really a duchy level title. And then in addition to that, he has the kingdom. Well, one thing that's interesting, so you can click on any of these shields. So again, let's go over here. You've got these different shields, and you can see the title information. So if we go to the county of Wessex, right over here, so it's got the city of Southampton and the bishopric of St. Swithin within it. And it's got the line of succession for inheriting of this county. In addition to that, this county belongs to the Duchy of Wessex, which then belongs to the Kingdom of England. Now, in addition to that, you've got this de jure button, or de jure. This is the legal sort of borders that are sort of rightfully part of these various titles. If I click this, you'll notice there's a little change up here. If I click de jure, there's an extra shield over here because while the County of Wessex is part of the Duchy of Wessex and the Kingdom of England currently, it also technically would belong to the Empire of Britannia. The Empire of Britannia doesn't currently exist, but this tells you naturally what realm this would fall under. Now, this is especially nice for things like duchies, because currently this duchy has 4 provinces in it, 4 counties: Devon, Dorset, Wessex, and Withwera. So these 3, plus I think the island over here. If I click de jure, see, Devon goes away. The County of Devon is not properly within the Duchy of Wessex. Currently it is. The Count of Devon bends the knee to the Duke of Wessex, or maybe it's the same person, that's possible too. But historically, if we look at Devon over here and I click the Shield of Devon, right now it's part of the Duchy of Wessex. If I click de jure, it should actually be part of the Duchy of Cornwall. The Duchy of Cornwall is here. This is the de jure Duchy of Cornwall. If I click that off, right now Cornwall only has 1 county within it. So these guys over here might have some words with each other as to who should have what. Same thing can happen on the kingdom level. Oh, now that's interesting. Cornwall is currently in the Duchy of Cornwall and the Kingdom of England. But de jure, it actually belongs to the Kingdom of Wales over here. So again, these guys would have cause for war. Right now, I don't have any cause for war. I've got my steward over here trying to fabricate a claim, but I don't have a cause to go to war with anyone. But right now, the King of Wales, King Hywel the Good, is totally justified in going to war. This is not the County of Wales. The Kingdom of Wales not currently exist. Kingdom of Wales? Oh, the Kingdom of Wales doesn't currently exist. If the Kingdom of Wales existed, the King of Wales would be totally justified in going to war against England for the County of Cornwall, because it should rightfully belong to Wales in this particular situation over here. So that's a cool way to navigate things. Okay, I think we are going to wrap it up here. This is going to be the end of the tutorial for complete beginners. If you do want more stuff, I absolutely recommend you check out some Let's Plays for Crusader Kings. Again, while we go a little faster and do a little bit more stuff in my Let's Plays, I still try to explain as much of stuff as possible as we go. So maybe I'll drop a link in the doobly-doo for a Let's Play you might want to follow along with. And otherwise, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.